Yo, yo, you hear me? I can't hear you. No. Uh-uh. I don't know if he can hear you or if it's just me. Nah, he said he can't hear you either.
I know you hear me now,
Yeah,
right?
I got you now. Yeah.
Gotta stop touching this fucking cord. That's all. I touched it on purpose though, so it's cool. Kyrie Irving declined the option, but he intends to sign 3-year, 119.
Oh, so he's taking less.
Yeah, but I mean, essentially more because 40 million a year for 3 years, as opposed to one more year for 40.
Oh, okay.
We said keep talking. We
So
said keep
top
talking.
five tight ends of the early 2000s.
They have that.
Antonio Gates. Nah, I'm just
Oh, I was gonna say it's
Tony
like
Gonzalez.
2. Yeah. Algie Crumpler.
Algie Crumpler was up there. Dallas Clark should be up there. And who would be that number 5th guy? I mean, Algie Crumpler could be up there, yeah. But
Heath was probably more 2010s.
Nah. He was like, well, a little bit because he was like mid 2000s to the 2010s.
Yeah. Tight ends in the 2000s.
Who did the Ravens had a guy.
The Ravens.
Todd Heap. What was his name?
Todd Heap.
Todd Heap. That boy was like that. That boy was like that. Todd Heap was like that. Ravens. Jason Witten. Well, he was probably like 2010s.
Yeah, probably.
Like,
I would say more
08, 09 to like late 2010s. Jeremy Shockey.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, Shockey, definitely.
Shockey.
Dustin Keller.
Damn, I remember that. What was that? Where was he from?
Jets.
What about Randy McMichael? Oh, I didn't see if he said something.
He said we're good. He just said we're good.
Okay. I just want to know how. Can you call me? I'm gonna call you back, Lou. Oh, we on. Oh, but this is a test, or we? I don't know. Nah, we live. One second here. Yeah, we on. We back. Oh, it is a test. Okay. I was like, fuck. How do I I think it looks good. Yeah, I think it looks good. What's that noise?
What noise?
Hold on. Lou, can I call you so that we could run it back? Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah.
All right. You want to just let me know when we're going live so I could.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna end this stream. On the chat, I'll do just like a 1, 2, 3. Once you see the 3, give it 5 seconds, and then start. All right. Just stay with me one moment so I can turn it off, and then we start.
Welcome back to the All Things Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Julian. I'm here with my co-host, Big Kev. Kev, it's been a little minute. We haven't really talked sports in a while, but it feels really good to be back here alongside of you to talk sports. We've had a great NBA Finals that we were able to watch these past maybe 2.5 weeks or so. Game 7, it came down to, there was highs and lows, and it ended with an amazing moment for the Thunder. And then, there was some I guess trauma, tragedy for the Pacers and their fans, and Tyrese Halliburton specifically. So first things first, Kev, how you been, man? It's been a little minute.
I've been good. It's been a while since I've been here, but I actually got to see you over the weekend in New York at Fanatics Fest. So got to hang out a little bit, and funny enough, brought up the podcast, and now we're here a couple days later.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I thanks to my cousin Lou. Shout out to Lou, man. He's always trying to put things together and push me to strive forward. So shout out to him. But let's talk about the Fanatics Fest real quick, man. I got 6 passes here. I was going every day. Obviously, you as an exhibitor, you alongside Kyle, King of the Cards. Shout out to you guys, man, because I imagine how busy your weekend was. I felt a little overwhelmed as a fanatic, if you will, and as a visitor going to this festival, just, seeing how everything unfolds and being able to partake in the interactive stuff and collectible stuff. It was a great time, but I want to hear from your perspective, how it was as I guess not your first, this is your second Fanatics Fest, but this is the first time you guys had a booth there, and you were bound to the booth all day, making sure you got all that good content. So talk to me about, your weekend. You don't have to mention that we saw each other again. I know that was probably the highlight, but or maybe was it when you met, Dwayne Wade,
I was gonna say.
I'm right there. But yeah, talk to me, man.
No, it was a great time. Last year when we went to Fanatics Fest, I think things had really just started to kind of ascend for our content as far as the page was. So didn't have a booth, but did get to walk around the show a lot last year. So kind of saw a lot of the activations and things there was. And going back this year, it seemed like they topped even what they did last year, which I thought was already going to be hard enough. Do love what they did with the card show itself, putting us kind of in the middle of everything. So I thought Fanatics did a phenomenal job with everything, and the athletes that you get to see. It is, if you're a sports fan, it's the event of all events. I think that you have to get out to at least once and experience it. They have so much going on. They've really got creative with what they're doing. So we had a great time. We had a ton of people show up to our booth and show us love. So that's always awesome. It's still surreal when people ask me for my autograph. I was lucky enough to do that a few times this weekend, but it was a good time. Like you said, got to see you, got to see my other boy who was in from New Hampshire, so that was good. Got to see some old friends that I haven't been able to see in a while. And then, as you said, no disrespect to anything else, but the highlight of the weekend was meeting Dwayne Wade, the one, the only, never be another like him. So. As a Heat fan, that was a very special moment for me. And I think if you follow me on Instagram and you saw the picture or you see it, it's still up there. You can see the pure joy on my face as many people have commented. Yes, that was that was the highlight of the weekend for sure.
Awesome. And shout out to Kyle. He's got you in his dump. I don't know if you noticed that, but he put you on the dump, man. And so you're on King of the Cards there, and everybody can see that moment. I do want to just again shout out to Kyle because I saw the work he was putting in, firsthand as an outside perspective. Obviously, you two are doing your thing. You're in the midst of everything, and time probably flies a little quicker when you're busy like that. But for me, being an outsider and just someone who was there as an observant, it was awesome to see, the reception. I remember last year you guys were walking around and you guys had a crowd, right? Like kids were coming up to you guys and trying to stop you and do some deals and also take some pictures, get some autographs with Kyle. But this year it was special to see him have his designated booth to where people can, 2251, come see me and we'll talk business. We'll, get a pic. Like he's such a man of the people, which is something I also appreciate about him. Because I think, I'm not too fond of this card business, but the more I get to, be around guys like Kyle, guys like even talking to you, getting little tips and pointers and just oversight, I'm getting to learn. I was able to link you guys at Bleecker Trading. Shout out to Bleecker Trading over there on Christopher Street downtown for that nice little event they did. And then I was able to meet Josh from Roth Cards on Friday night at the Staple Pigeon event, right?
And Josh had a weekend also.
We'll get to it. We got a couple things to get to.
Yeah.
Shout out to Roth Cards. I also met his cameraman, who's also your boy. So that was pretty cool, of like a small world moment where, everybody's in town for this big event and you get to like find the little things that you can appreciate through it. Like big picture, Kev, you came to town, you met fucking Dwayne Wade, right? Kyle meets Cooper Flagg and like, negotiates with him or lets him know at least what card he has of his and where he thinks it's valued. Not sure if you guys have my visual right now.
I still have your audio, but
you still have my audio. All right, so I'm still here, but it was definitely an amazing thing to see as I work on getting my visuals back. But Kev, the highlight of my weekend, I have to say, was Sunday at the Canelo Alvarez Bud Crawford press conference. And you guys don't see my face right now. Unfortunately, I'll get my visuals back, I promise. But man, I was sitting second row. I was also able to take my uncle, which made it, even more special. So, man, we got out there, and the energy in the crowd was just second to none. I mean, Bud Crawford had a couple fans, but Canelo fans travel, and shout out to the Mexican Pride. They really love their boy. So, it was awesome to just kind of firsthand experience that. It's my second boxing press conference that I've been to, and ironically, that was my second Canelo Alvarez press conference as well. I was able to go see him versus Floyd Mayweather in 2013 in Miami and sit with the press. I got like media credentials just based on, the security guy, went to FAMU, and so did my friend. So it was a cool thing to experience again. And, that was definitely the highlight of the weekend for me, but there was a tons of other things that I was able to, do and exhibit and try. So shout out to Michael Rubin and the whole Fanatics team and all those guys that put the time and effort to bring this for the fans again, because we talked about it, Kev and I, they can do this in another location, right? New York's a great place, and I think the best place, if you will. The Javits Center is an amazing convention center. It's beautiful, super spacious, but they can take this to Miami. They can take this to Vegas, like we spoke about. So it'd be interesting to see what they have in store for year 3 and how they want to maybe up it, if you will, because again, like you said, last year was amazing. Last year was really fun. And to think that this year was kind of better, it's like, okay, let's just keep going and see what else they can do for us, us fans. So amazing time. Let's talk about what we're here for. The NBA Finals. The season finished a couple days ago. OKC just had their parade today. I hope you guys got my visual back. But The parade was underwhelming from an outsider perspective. I saw the crowd, if that's what you want to call it, of people. But to be fair, downtown Indiana, Oklahoma City, it doesn't strike me for a overpopulated city. But one thing we know for certain is that the fans that were there and the fans that cheer them on every game, they deserve this. They deserve everything that they get with this championship parade run and celebration. They had an amazing season. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has done things this year that only guys like Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, and Shaquille O'Neal have done in the past. He actually averaged the most points per game, 32.7 in a finals, which is the most in NBA history, beat Michael Jordan's 32.6. To then go and close the deal in a game 7 at home, it was pretty storybook, right? And on the flip side, you got Indiana, who coming into the season in October, Kendrick Perkins is on ESPN saying that he believes that they'll be the team that misses the playoffs as a team that made the playoffs last year, made the Eastern Conference Finals. They end up finding themselves back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals appearance, win the championship in the Eastern Conference, and then go on and win game 1 of the NBA Finals on the road. And Halliburton just continues this Cinderella run of clutch performances where we saw him, win a game at the buzzer in Cleveland. We saw him do it versus the Bucks, and we saw him do it against the Knicks in game 1. He gets to the finals, doesn't have so much impact on game 1 itself, but was able to win the game for his team. And it was just, surreal at the moment, right? We then fast forward. All right, we're going to get back into it. So it's not a series until someone wins on the road is what they say, right? They won on the road game 1. OKC takes care of business in game 2. And then boom, right back to it. Game 3 in Indiana. They got to take care of business. They go up 2-1. Indiana had OKC on the ropes, Kev, in game 4. They had them on the ropes. They were up at least 8-10 late. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think it was at that moment where he told himself and he believed, look, I'm the best player in the game right now. I'm the MVP of the league. I'm the MVP of this series. And I have to put my best foot forward and do what it takes to win this game and ultimately lead us to victory in 7 games. And from that moment in that fourth quarter, when SGA went off for about 15 points, we saw a different version of the Thunder. And it wasn't an unbeatable team. It wasn't that. But something clicked for OKC where, I think that they felt like, all right, you know what? Not only should we have been here a little bit ago, should we have felt like we're going to win this, but now we truly, truly believe this is ours to lose. And, I'm kind of just recapping how I saw it through my eyes. It was an exciting series. I couldn't have asked for more. I only missed game 2. I believe that was on Sunday. It was the Sunday after the Thursday game 1. I was actually down in Florida enjoying my time. So I was seeing family and friends and I could have watched game 2 or hung out with some family and friends. And, I chose family and friends. Thankfully, that was like the worst game of the series. Yeah. I mean, it was a blowout, so I didn't really miss much. And I figured OKC has to come back and respond to this game 1 loss in a big way. And they did. Give me some of your thoughts, man. Break it down in Kev's perspective, what he saw, because obviously we haven't even touched the Halliburton injury yet and what that means for the future and what it meant just at the moment. I think that's a moment in sports history that we're going to remember forever. And it'll, I think, also like shape out Hallie's career. Like he can really, how do I want to say this? Right now, that moment is the biggest thing that's happened to him right now, and like amidst all the great shots he's hit and clutch performances he's had, getting hurt in game 7 in the first quarter after going 3 of 4 from the 3-point line and looking like he was ready to explode and win the finals. Man, hopefully this is a full circle moment in the future for Halliburton is what I'm saying. I saw his Twitter post. It was a lengthy one, but it was a well worth read. If you haven't checked that out, go check it out. Shout out to Halliburton, man. But Kev, I want to hear this NBA Finals and through your eyes and what you saw and what you took away from it.
Yeah, first of all, I was very happy with the two teams that we got in the finals because I felt like this was going to be the best basketball matchup, especially once we got down to the last four teams. Like, this just felt like it was going to be, just in terms of pure basketball, watching two teams really who play the right way and have guys on their team who can go one-on-one, but also will share the ball. I thought it was going to be fun to watch, and I think it was fun to watch. Like, as a basketball fan, I thought we got great basketball for 7 games. We got a 7-game series out of it. We had some classic moments out of it. So, to me, small market, big market, I don't care. Just give me good basketball. I felt like we got that. So, outside of the obvious with the injury to Halliburton, which you never want to see, especially in a Game 7 of such a great series that we got, I think that almost put a damper. Like, even the crowd felt like, game being in OKC, the crowd still, it didn't feel like a Game 7 after that injury. Like, it deflated everything. I think took a little bit of joy out of the victory for OKC. Probably like as little as possible, but still, I think, put a small hole in that bubble for yeah, exactly. I don't know if you saw the Pat Bev reaction.
Nah.
But it was very similar to that. But yeah, I mean, obviously that sucked. But Game 4, and we were gonna say it about either Game 1 or Game 4, but Game 4, which was the same as Game 1. Like, in Game 1, OKC was up the entire game, but just couldn't seem to put Indiana away. Like, they'd get up, Indiana would pull it back to within 6. OKC would go up 10, 12, but Indiana would get it back down to 6 and keep it within striking distance. OKC did the same thing to Indiana in Game 4. Indiana was up the entire game. They'd get up 10. OKC would cut it back to 4 to 6. Indiana get up 10. Ultimately, OKC came back and won. But that game, Indiana allowing OKC to come back and win that game not only had an effect on this series, but next year, because if Indiana can win in 6, Halliburton is playing next year. He gets a chance to rest the calf. He gets a chance to, not tear his Achilles in Game 7. So I think that when we look back on that Game 4 and Indiana letting it slip, that's the biggest game of the series. And like I said, you could say it about Game 1 if the series went the other way, but we're living in reality now, not what ifs. So at Game 4, I'm sure it stings even more now. It's like a double whammy with not only
that's tough to fathom. I mean, like, losing in the finals is a pain. Losing in the finals, in 2014 was like, all right, we saw this coming. We couldn't wait for it to finish 4-1, get us out of here. We're losing by 20 every game. Losing to Dallas, it was very painful because it was our first final since the first one. And, we got LeBron and it was hype. And, but we saw that in Game 6, it was like we looked like we can't stop Dirk. Like, there's no answer for this. We could kind of feel it.
However,
getting to Game 7, I get it.
Yeah,
but getting to Game 7, though, like, we didn't get to Game 7 and lose. And so, like, you get to Game 7 and it's like you have all the hope in the world. You expect that your team can win this game. To then deal with your best player going down, not only for the game, but for now, your entire year next season is going to be affected by this injury, and you take that L. I mean, that's gut-wrenching.
Which, by the way, makes that trade that Indiana made after Game 5. They obviously, what's next after the calf strain and him deciding, like, I'm playing Game 6. If I can walk on playing, if you're Indiana, I mean, that's I'll say it's a great move by the front office, is getting back their 2026 pick, because it looks like next year is going to be lost. I'm sure that, like, you look at those guys like Nembhard I think, really put himself on the map. Like, he's going to this thing about like a Jalen Brunson is nobody is going to stop Jalen Brunson from getting 30. But if you can make Jalen Brunson work like a dog for those 30, by the time that fourth quarter rolls around, he's not himself anymore. Yeah. Like, he's still going to get his, but it's what can you do in crunch time? And I think that's like Nembhard just wears you down. And they got Nembhard, they've got Neesmith. Like, they've got guys who really fit well into their roles. And even in that game 7, like, Tyrese went down, and you saw in that the third quarter lost them the game. Like, they were up 1 at the half. Yeah. And OKC came out in the third quarter and blitzed them.
OKC's like, this version of OKC is like the Warriors of 2017. Like, that third quarter, if you mess up, they're gonna kill you. They're gonna kill you. You have to be ready for that third quarter, because that's what they've done all season. So it wasn't like a surprise. It wasn't like a how could this be? It was just more like, well, this is exactly who OKC is, and they shined when they needed to. And shout out to them, man. Their best players came to play in the moments they needed them. And like both of these teams bank on their role players really doing their job in big games. And we know role players perform better at home. And we saw that with both of these teams during this series. Lou Dort, man, I think his name needs to get brought up a little more. Like, you brought up Andrew Nembhard and how he made a name for himself. Lou Dort didn't necessarily make a name for. I think Lou Dort has been a household name in OKC for some time. He's been there, since the Paul George days and the Russell Westbrook days. But what he's actually become, he was a 3-and-D guy, if you will, 3-and-D guy, but more just like a defensive stalwart. He then, worked on that three-pointer, and now it's like you can't leave Lou Dort. Like, you don't want to just leave. You felt okay about leaving him a couple times, but there was something about when I saw him shoot the ball this series, it was like, oh man, like, oh, that's going in.
Yeah. No, he had all the confidence in the world shooting 3, but it's funny because, like, even looking at Game 7, Oklahoma City did not play well. Like, they didn't shoot the – Indiana shot the ball better from 3 and from the field that overall. The only thing Oklahoma City didn't do was turn it over. Like, they had 7 turnovers to 21 turnovers for Indiana. So, and that's where you miss Halliburton, right? Like, the ball handling is where you miss Halliburton because Halliburton's not typically turning the ball over that much. And having a guy who can handle the ball and take care of the ball, especially with the way he started the game. I fully believe with the way he started that game, if he plays for 4 quarters, they might be the champions right now.
Yeah, it's crazy because they had a stat where, like, if Halliburton scored more than 20, they win. Like, that was it. That was the stat. More than 20, they win. And so, obviously, if it was a 5th, we'd all be drunk. Shout to EP. I actually spoke to EP today, man. He's doing good. Nobody worry. Everybody's doing good. The family is as well. So shout out to EP. But we can. It is fair to think like, yeah. I mean, the way he started that game, Halliburton isn't always as aggressive as he always is, or sometimes is, and that's what we were frustrated out about him, or those who do like Halliburton. Because it's
the Bam Adebayo frustration.
We know what he can be, and we know how good or how he can dominate a game or take over a game when he asserts himself in a manner of aggression. And he was ready for Game 7. I mean, he came out. If anybody looked ready for Game 7 on Sunday, it was Halliburton. And hey, God had other plans for him, and it is what it is. We can't go back and wish they won. It's not that like serious for us, but just for the fan of the sport and appreciation of the game, it's like, wow, I do feel like it feels like the last season of Game of Thrones, right? Like, that's an amazing show, and I love Game of Thrones. Like, I love Game of Thrones, even though the last season I didn't agree with it, and there were things that I would have changed. I still love it. I'm still going to tell you to watch it. I'm still going to say, give me your own opinion. Don't go based on it. But it just felt like, all this buildup, and it was taken away. Like, why did Jamie get to die with, Cersei in each other's arms. Like, get out of here, bro. But a fun finals nonetheless. I don't know if you have any closing thoughts on the finals.
No, man. I just hope Hallie gets better, and hope that eventually he can be back on the stage with a fair shot at winning the championship.
Yeah. Now it's going to take a lot to get there. We saw Siakam talk about, coming into the series, like, I thought maybe after 2019 I'd go back. I haven't been back since, and it's one of the toughest things to do is not even to get to the championship, but getting back to the championship. So, yeah, we're going to pray for Hallie and hope the road to recovery is a smooth one. We saw a 44, 46, 48, whatever how old he is, year-old Aaron Rodgers come back from an Achilles injury and be able to, still put his foot forward and compete. So we obviously don't have such doubt, but with an injury like that, it is a tough one to recover from. So we're just going to hope and pray that Hallie can get back to a full recovery and playing the game like he always does with the same pace, same intensity. And now I just know that like, these guys are all competitors and super competitive, but I think that might have lit like an extra dosage of fire under him to where it's like, all right, I'm burning to get back now. Like, now I need to see that championship. So that's just going to be more fun for the NBA and for the Taliban Halliburton haters. What you was going to say?
No, I was saying that.
I heard this before we move on from the finals, but I heard this going around on ESPN and the major networks. I want to ask you and hear your thoughts. Is this the start of OKC's dynasty, or are they not a dynasty yet? Well,
they're not.
That's not fair. That's not fair to say. They're not a dynasty yet because they haven't won multiple times. Do you think this is the start of their dynasty?
I think it very well could be. I mean, you look at the roster, the youth, it's very much Golden State-esque. They've got a superstar. They've got young guys who step up in their roles when they're called upon. And then they're still loaded up on draft picks. They still have a lottery pick who didn't play a single minute this year because he had a torn ACL. They have the 10th pick in this year's draft. Like, there's a lot right now, or the 10th, or am I right? 10th pick in this draft?
I think it's no, not the 10th, 15th.
15th, something like that. So yeah,
Suns got their 10th back with that KD trade.
Okay. They've got Caruso, a great piece, who's still not, at the end of his career. They've got Hartenstein. They just signed to a great deal. They've got Lou Dort. Like, they have these guys all under contract, and they have young guys who I think are obviously they have to pay Jalen Williams, and eventually pay Chet Holmgren.
But they can afford them. Those are they're going to be able to afford their core, like their three main guys. It's, to me, sorry to cut you off, it'd be more about like GM Presti being able to like keep the interchangeable pieces, keep good pieces as
Well, it's also going to come down to, does ownership want to pay the tax bill?
I think they absolutely should. Well, yes, they should, but I do think that ownership will. I do think
100% they should. Some owners win a championship and got what they wanted.
It doesn't feel like that. It doesn't
Wayne
feel like
Huizenga.
that. Yeah, but it doesn't feel like that for this organization. I feel like this organization has been like so hungry and thirsty to get to this mountaintop that I don't believe they're satisfied with this win. I think that they understand what we're saying. Yeah, you got SGA at the prime point of his career. Holmgren still hasn't even scratched the surface of what he can really, really be in this league. And Jalen Williams is showing us that he could be a number one option on a team one day. I think he can grow to be a number one option on a team, and he's just playing as a number two right now. He obviously has things to work on a little bit, but that's the trajectory I see for them. So if I'm ownership, obviously it's easier to say than do and just act like money's mine when it's not. But you are in prime position right now with an outstanding future to be able to get back to this point if you're willing to, spend the coin.
You would hope that a team like that with a core like that at that age, in the position they're in, like with all the draft picks still, they still have a ton of draft picks. Like they can still make moves and maneuver however they want to.
Yeah.
You would hope that you have an owner willing to pay whatever the tax bill is. If not, they need to do something about the CBA because it's gotten to the point now where it feels like these young teams can't grow together because the owners want to pay that into that second apron and restrict themselves. That's enough. You restrict yourself. So it's tough. It's, I don't know if we're going to get into the KD trade at all and the Heat, but, I have thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I most certainly wanted to talk about the NBA Finals. I was itching to talk about it during the finals, and unfortunately, we weren't able to get up on here. But we're here now. We're this is a safe space, Kev. You and I love to vent about our Miami Heat together because it feels like lately it's been bad vibes, just odd vibes, and we celebrated that one playoff win we had versus Cleveland. Maybe two, was it? Maybe one. I don't remember. I think we won. Yeah, one game
this year.
And
we didn't win any games. So.
We got swept this year. Holy shit. Hey man, bad vibes, bro.
I tried to forget. I tried to forget too.
I know we lost by 50 in that bitch. I know that at home. But let's talk about it because there were reports after Kevin Durant gets traded. Let me just set the stage. Kevin Durant is on his way or should be in Houston already.
Well, he was in New York.
Right. So he's probably still here. But he'll be a Houston Rocket next year. He got traded for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 overall pick, and 5 second-round picks, which feels like a steal for Kevin Durant, who is still looking like a walking bucket, somebody who can play as efficient basketball as you're looking for, and be that 1A scorer on your team around a bunch of young guys who have the fight, who have the dog in them, who have the talent, who are playing for a coach who has proven himself as one of the better coaches in the league. It's a very, very well put together mix of talent and dog, if you will. So, what did you make out of this trade? And then talk about what you heard as far as reports coming out with Miami's offer or final offer and what they weren't willing to give up with, and how you feel about that.
I think for a team like Houston to get KD for what they got him for, it was a good move because when you have Ime Udoka, who's close with Kevin Durant from their times in Brooklyn, and also Royal Ivy being on the coaching staff, played with Kevin Durant at Texas. So Kevin Durant has some familiarity already with a couple of the guys on the coaching staff. Young team who also has just a 2 seed out west, and now you plug in a guy like Kevin Durant, where Jalen Green was, and I'm sure they'll try to find somebody to fill in the Dylan Brooks role, which it's an easier role to fill in than a lot of other roles around the around their rotation. So I like the move for Houston. Now, as far as Miami not making the move because what was asked of Houston was Andrew Wiggins. What's the difference these days? Andrew Wiggins, Haywood Highsmith, Nikola Jovic, Jaime Jaquez Jr., and the number 20 pick, plus more draft capital for Kevin Durant, who will be 37 when the new season starts, for a team that is not a Kevin Durant away from being competitive. So if you ask me on Miami, good on them, because we didn't force a move because the fans wanted a move. I feel sometimes like I'm the only rational Heat fan out there. This is not.
I think I'm there with you.
Yeah, I mean, there's more of me, but like sometimes when I'm hearing other people, bitch and moan, it feels like I'm talking to a wall, and it's crazy because I just don't see. I had somebody tell me we should trade Tyler Hero for Kevin Durant. In what world does trading your 25-year-old All-Star for a 37-year-old make any type of sense? In what world does trading every asset that you have for a 37-year-old make any type of sense? You know who just did that for a 35-year-old Kevin Durant? Phoenix. And they're in one of the worst organizational spots that you can be in. With barely any draft picks, no talent on their roster to make a difference other than Devin Booker. And now what do you do with Devin Booker? Because I don't know that he's going to want to be there for very much longer if they can't make something shake. So you can't be desperate. Phoenix was just desperate, got Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant, and gave up everything for the two of them. And now they're sitting there with no Kevin Durant and nothing to offer. So if you want to be in that position, then you go ahead and you make that deal. But I think Miami was good for not making that deal. You got to extend Kevin Durant also, by the way. So, good on Miami not making that deal. And for the end of time, I will trust in Pat Riley and the Miami Heat front office. And if they think that it's best to not offer every single thing that you have outside of Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, and Khalil Ware, then I think that's now. If a guy like Giannis becomes available. Whatever.
Yeah, no, different circumstances call for different packages too. Like, let's not be dumb.
Yes.
But and I agree. I agree with everything you're saying. I do have contests for certain things. Before I get into that, I do want to acknowledge the chat. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to Chico Gabe in the chat. He said it's a good problem to have. Pat retires now. Spo takes his spot. Chris Quinn, our new coach, please, God, please. Definitely happy we didn't get KD. I'll say this. I can't definitively say Chris Quinn is going to be the next coach or like should be because I don't know. You know, I'm not. It's also a little hard to like know if he's the guy. You know what I mean?
I would almost bet everything I had that Pat nor Spo will go out the way they just went out. Pat's not retiring right now. Spo's not going up to the front office.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, and this is still like 3 more years in the making. Because I do see a world where Pat retires and Spo, you know, just takes that step into the front office as the president, GM type of guy, which would be amazing just for his career. You know, starting from the video room to like, you know, GM of the team would be crazy. However, back to the Kevin Durant thing. So where I'm at is like, I agree, Kev. We should not have traded all of our assets for Kevin Durant. No, you know, and you have to have some sort of, you know, pride. You got to stand up at one point for yourself and say, you're not going to take advantage of us just because of the name is marquee. I do understand. The brand is marquee. I get it. You're going to sell tickets more. You're going to sell jerseys. Kevin Durant is going to be one of the most exciting things about Miami Heat basketball in some years. Yes. But your first point was we're not a KD away. And I wholeheartedly agree. You know, how fun would it be to watch Tyler, Bam, Khalil Ware, and Kevin Durant ball out next year? I mean, bro, my ignorant fan stance is that like, yeah, fuck what we're doing. I don't care. I don't want to see what we're watching right now. Like, if I could just watch Kevin Durant on my favorite team, I'm happy. I'll be satisfied. It's cool. And so it was a little tough to accept when I see like the package of Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and a 10th pick. It's like, damn, I feel like, you know, we could have got him. It comes out that obviously they wanted to try to get more. And Kevin Durant wanted to go to Houston. Like, let's be clear. He wanted to be in Houston. He wanted to be with Coach Udoka. He wanted to be, you know, I'm sure, listen, we got 2 good cities. I ain't never been to Houston, but I'll go one day. And I'm sure it'll be lit when I do. So I'm not mad at KD for forcing his way to Houston. But what I want to address as far as what we've got going on, the roster is already constructed right now. Like, it's kind of like we're going to go into this season running it back. Pat Riley said we're not running it back. Like, he already said that. So it makes me believe Giannis is like the next best thing. He's the best thing available, not next best, but he's the best thing available that isn't available yet. And as soon as he is available, you know, we're going to be in that market. We're going to be on those calls trying to get Giannis to Miami. I'm not with the DeRozan. I don't want the DeRozan. You know, I would have loved like Drew Holiday, KD. Drew Holiday, let him, you know, and I still like Drew Holiday. I like a Porzingis too, but now it gets complicated because of the big situation. Unless you're starting KP and bringing Ware off the bench. Here's where I want to close off with. If you think that Ware, and not you, but if front office thinks that Ware is like this valuable asset, or piece of the future, I just hope that Miami, if he ends up staying on this team for the 2025-2026 season, I hope that Miami treats him like the future of the team. You know, we every big needs a point guard. First of all, we need a point guard. Like, let's be, and the draft is coming up tomorrow. I know you have a candidate over there we're going to talk about in a second, and we'll wrap up and get out of here. But we need to build around Khalil Ware. We have to. If we're going to make him a focal point of this franchise, if we're going to say that we're not willing to add him to this package or that package, we've got to show that, all right, we're going to do everything in our power to make you the best player ever. And if I see that from us, I'll be happy, whether he strikes or strikes out, because the effort is there. What I don't want to see is we're not getting him the guys around him that he needs to be around. We're not getting him the opportunity on offense. We're not, you know, or late in game, whatever the case is. Spo and Pat, I should say, have to be on the same page when it comes to what's next for this franchise. And I guess to final thought, also, by the way, I wouldn't be opposed to getting a Ja Morant. I know that he's not like a winning player, if you will, and he has a lot to work on, but I think Miami would be a great place, not geographically, but as far as the culture, the system we have in the locker room and in the practice facility, I think it would be a great place for him to be able to develop his game.
And I would consider Ja a winning player. You look at that franchise.
You're right. You're right. Sorry, Ja Morant. No disrespect. But I guess what I mean is, like, Memphis had a ceiling, you know, and obviously due to like personnel too, like they didn't have everybody around Ja that he would need to get to that point. But we saw that same team win without Ja Morant, right? So it's like there were times where he was out, and it wasn't like, obviously you don't forget that Ja Morant is out, but Memphis didn't take like as big of an impact on loss as I thought they would when he went out, because they still were able to, you know, be cohesive as a team. But I guess that's when the standard isn't, you know, Western Conference Finals and championship. It can kind of look okay. We on the other hand, you know, are expecting to, if we were to get a Ja Morant, go to the Eastern Conference Finals. You know what I mean? So
especially with the way the East looks next year.
And that was something I wanted to point out too, because you mentioned we're not a KD away, you know, Bam, KD, and Tyler. I mean, look, Halliburton going down. We got a couple trades that went off yesterday and today with the Celtics. KP going to Atlanta, Drew Holiday going to Portland, and Anthony Simons coming into Boston. Cleveland and the Knicks look like to be the 1A, 1B of the East right now. And then everything kind of just has to – Orlando, you know, like looks like they want their fair shot. So that's going to be –
Don't sleep on Detroit.
That's going to be interesting. And Detroit, I'm sure they're going to elevate from a 6 seed to a possibly top 4 seed. So
they gave the Knicks a tougher series than the Celtics did.
Now, what I'm a little concerned about and worried about is that, does this give the Bucks the confidence to keep Giannis and say, we got a chance? You know what I mean? Like, this, we can do it. And so I guess it's up to him.
You got to find where you're going to fill in that $50 million salary that's currently going to be out for the season.
Yeah.
So that's a tough one. And
I forgot Dame Lillard is out next year as well.
Yeah. Dame out all of next year. That's just it's going to be tough to find serviceable guys with that salary eating up that much of your cap space, and him being out all next year. The one thing I will say, which is very intriguing to me, is I do wonder, would Boston be interested in Tyler Hero?
Jaylen Brown package?
I just wonder.
I'll take Jaylen Brown in Miami, brother.
We'll
teach him how to dribble with that left hand. I promise you. Folks gonna have him.
That is an NBA Finals MVP. That is a guy who can create his own shot, regardless of if his left hand is a little weaker. I know we all troll and make fun of it, but he's an NBA Finals. You don't win NBA Finals MVP and not be able to hoop. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting thing. Like, first of all, it'd be interesting for Miami and Boston to make a trade of that magnitude in the first place. But I love Tyler, and that'd be tough, but it's also very interesting to see, like, if Boston would even entertain it, if they'd be interested.
Come on, Brad Stevens.
I'm sure they would look more for Bam than they would Tyler.
Right.
In a situation like that, but I do think it'd be interesting. Like, I don't think Boston I don't think that's a call that Boston just hangs up on right away.
Right. I think Boston's a Tyler Hero away. Hey, man, I'm excited to see what this whole free agency is going to look like. Shams and a lot of insiders are reporting that this year is going to be – I mean, we've already seen two guys from Boston's championship team, one going down to the Southeast Coast and one going to the Pacific Northwest.
Also, hold on. I'm sorry. You just said Pacific Northwest, and I thought of it. Joe Cronin. Somebody get him out of there. I don't know.
It's still screw Joe Cronin.
I mean,
yeah. Why would you trade a 22 or 25-year-old who's averaging 20 points a game on an expiring deal for a 35-year-old on a $100 million contract?
If it wasn't bad enough that we saw what he did with the Dame situation, and then we see the return that he got a year later, we're still seeing the return that he got, and then he does this. It's
laughable. Is what we call it.
I'm not sure how he's still in that position unless he has something on the owner of the Portland Trailblazers.
He must hate him. I don't know, but like I said, I just know that this free agency is going to be very fun, and I think Giannis is the big piece this year that we're all going to wait for and see where he ends up. But that being said, the NBA draft is tomorrow. Before we wrap up, I want to get quick thoughts. Nothing crazy too in depth, but let me hear real quick your thoughts on Ace Bailey and I guess his mentality or his agency and how they're feeding him to the public, and then what do you think the Sixers do with that number 3 overall pick?
So if I'm the Sixers, I take Ace Bailey because I don't care. I'm doing that, and I'm looking to move Paul George. If I'm the Sixers GM personally, I don't care that he hasn't worked out for me. The talent is there. If you're looking to get somewhere else, sorry, brother. You're a Philadelphia 76er.
You are a 76er. You are Jared McCain's teammate.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Philly, it's a tough spot, obviously, for Philly to be in. Like, if a kid is purposely ducking your workouts and trying to avoid going to you, which is honestly crazy because they're not in a terrible situation. Like, they've got Embiid, they've got Maxey. If Embiid can be healthy, that's the biggest question.
I mean, brother, you could be going to Utah. You know what I mean? Like, typically, like,
or Charlotte.
Like,
Washington.
Like those are the teams that really have the couple, top 3 picks. Philly could have nothing, and you're still in Philly. Like, they're gonna try to get something, and they're not gonna be down and out forever.
Yeah.
So it is interesting that he prefers Washington over Philly. What Washington is doing is a little interesting as well. They traded Jordan Poole today for CJ McCollum, and now they have, a lot of vets in that locker room like Marcus Smart, CJ McCollum, and Chris Middleton. So I don't know if they're trying to pull off like a 2017, 2018 Washington Wizards vibe, but it's an odd group of players, odd group of vets, I should say, that they're pairing with, the young guys like Bub Carrington, Alex Sarr, and stuff.
Yeah, they do not care in Washington right now. I do think I think that'll be the top story tomorrow. Like, we all know Cooper's going first.
Shout out to Cooper Flag, man. Duke, baby.
We know what the top 2 picks are going to be. Then it becomes a question of, is it Ace at 3, or is somebody trade up? Does somebody trade up to 3 for Ace? Like, is it going to be that scenario
right,
where somebody wants to make a move up for him? Or I think that'll be the story. And then obviously for us, what did the Heat do at number 20? We talked about Khalil Ware and putting pieces around him. I love Walter Clayton Jr. out of Florida. I always think if you can do it on the biggest stage in college against some of the other best players around the country, I think that there's a spot for you in the NBA. And I love his game. I love what it looks like. I love the courage that he has. He's not scared of the moment. Much like Tyler Hero. Like, I think that'd be a fun guard pairing. Like, you've got to protect the perimeter against those 2 guys because they can shoot the lights out of the ball.
Yeah. So
having those 2 guys who can shoot lights out from 3, and then having the defenders behind them on the,
it's just a small, it is a smaller backcourt, which is something that I'm not really a fan of. But like you said, having the defenders behind them is also a big thing, and it can work. When you look at Walter Clayton, for me, I mean, you go back to him having a career high in the Final Four, against Auburn, being the first player since Larry Bird to have back-to-back 30-point games in the Elite 8 and after. He scored 123 points in the tournament, averaged 24.6 a game, scored 11 in the second half of that national championship game. I mean, cold as ice, and confident as they come. He's also a dog. So we're not talking about, like, how would I don't like to ever sound like I'm so discrediting players. Ace Bailey, I'm not going to say he's not a dog, but I don't know that he's a dog. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. I know Walter Clayton Jr. is a dog. And maybe it's because Ace Bailey's got natural talent. He's just naturally gifted with the height, athleticism, and scoring ability that maybe he's a little more, cool, calm about it. Walter Clayton is at 6'2", knowing he needs to give everything he's got, and he does that with the utmost confidence, and he shoots the ball from deep from 3. He can hit a mid-range shot, and he finishes at the rim. And on defense, obviously his height and his weight might, be a factor of why you're looking like, this might be a little something to pass on, and why he might fall to 20. But I promise you, if he was a little taller, a little stronger, he'd be going top 5.
And I don't even think it's the height necessarily for him. I think it's more his wingspan that hurts him. And it's the same thing with Tyler. Like, Tyler Hero is not a bad defender. Yeah. When you watch Tyler Hero, he stays in front.
He's getting beat off that shot.
It's a tough contest because guys can raise up, and he doesn't have the wingspan to really bother you like that. So, but you look at Walter Clayton, he's 6'2" with a 6'4" wingspan. You know who has a 6'2", 6'4" wingspan?
Yeah.
That's similar.
Sounds like Steph Curry, and also, and who'd they take above him? Johnny Flynn, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to take a chance too, like especially if Walter Clayton gets to pick 20. I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer. Like, you don't take Precious Achiuwa over Tyrese Maxey this time. You know what I'm saying? No. You don't take Winslow over Devin Booker this time. Yeah. You take Walter Clayton. So that being said, let's leave it on a good note, on a high note, with luck, with positivity in the air. We're hoping for the Heat to draft Walter Clayton.
And I'll say, I was screaming last year when the Heat year ended. I was screaming it. I want Khalil Ware. We drafted Khalil Ware. This year, Heat season ended. I was screaming it. I want Walter Clayton Jr. So if we can get back-to-back years, of me with the correct pick for the Miami Heat.
Get it.
Miami Heat, you can hit me up. And
do some
you know,
draft
we can talk.
scouting.
We're clearly locked in. Me and Adam Simon. So.
Yes, sir. So hey man, shout out to you, Kev. Thank you for getting on here, taking time with me. Again, shout out to Lou for setting this all up. And I will say, I mean, this was very on the whim today. It was not expected. This wasn't planned. I wasn't even in the mind state to really get on here. So the fact that I'm able to be this expressive at this point of the night, and we've been on here probably over an hour or get into an hour. I'm not even sure. It makes me feel proud of the work we're doing. So thank you to you two. Thank you to everybody that tapped in with us tonight. For those that'll tap in with us in the future, follow me on Instagram at Wait Julian. Follow the podcast, most importantly, on Twitter at ATS Pod, on Instagram at ATS Pod Official. And you can follow Big Kev on Instagram at Big Kev Shot It. There might be an underscore. There might not be. No underscore there. We love to see it. Yeah, man. And stay tuned because All Things Sports Podcast is back. And we're excited to continue bringing you guys the real in sports.
Yeah, bro. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. Peace.